Madeleine L'Engle was a renowned author, best known to most people for her science fiction writings like A Wrinkle in Time. She wrote on many topics, including her belief that all souls eventually went to heaven. She was never a member of a Universalist church, though. Her religious views put her out of favor with many Christian communities. L'Engle was also a writer who wrote about writing. She confessed about her most famous work. I cannot possibly tell you how I came to write it. It was simply a book I had to write. I had no choice. It was only after it was written that I realized what some of it meant. Later, she also wrote, "You have to write the book that wants to be written. And if the book will be too difficult for grown-ups, then you write it for children." These words could also be written by L. Frank Baum, the author of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, a story from which the famous movie is based. He did not understand the story. He could not explain where it came from or what it meant. About the creation of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Baum wrote, "It was pure inspiration. It came to me right out of the blue. I think that sometimes the great author had a message to get across, and he was to use the instrument at hand." Baum was not extremely religious, though. He and his wife became members of the Theosophical Society, a mystical religious community which integrates interpretations of Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, and Jewish beliefs into its unique belief system. They also sent their sons to ethical culture schools that advocated an ethical, non-theistic perspective. One of the truths about Baum's story, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, is that it derives not from conscious thought. Baum tells us that he did not understand its source, nor does he know where the story derives its meanings or symbols. He attributes this inspiration to the great author, who one might interpret to mean God. Thus, his stories enter the world the psychoanalytic theorist Carl Jung called, or might have referred to as the collective unconscious. The symbols and actions appeal to a narrative that is broadly human and speaks to something deep in the human psyche. It becomes a spiritual story. The movie also speaks to its times as well and refers to themes in the original story. It is not, however, the same exact story as the movie. As children and adults, we take the story with its witches, talking and dancing scarecrow, Tin Man, lion, angry trees, and Emerald City as a fanciful story. It is right to do so. That's the way children see it. And it's the way we can continue to see it. By this interpretation, it retains its magic and is easily accessible. Another context, though, is that the Wizard of Oz might be a metaphor for its time and earlier times. When The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was published in 1900, the nation was engaged in a fierce debate over the gold standard. The gold standard was the governmental practice of fixing the dollar to the value of a specified weight of gold. This was only abandoned in 1971. Though Baum's book was published in 1900 and the movie The Wizard of Oz came out in 1939, the movie still had a social and economic undercurrent that commented on the nature of American society during the Great Depression. Some believe that bits of the story are referring to the problem of responding to the national trauma of those times. They believe that the yellow brick road is the gold standard. The yellow bricks being bars of gold bullion stored in Fort Knox. In the movie, we hear the Munchkins and others say over and over, "Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road." Baum took strong interest in the debate over the gold standard and composed an ode to William McKinley, who was a staunch supporter of the gold standard. Making this symbolically more valid, the yellow brick road goes to the Emerald City, where the wizard resides. Emeralds are, of course, green, and so is the American currency, then and now. Following the yellow brick road will lead to the green city, perhaps greenbacks. Maybe the Wicked Witch was the Great Depression itself, the personification of something terrible, frightening, and controlling, a dark force that seems indestructible, well, except on a rainy day. With this possible connection in mind, some have suggested that the chant that the guards make when marching at the Wicked Witch's castle, is actually all we have, we owe her. All we have, we owe her. There's no evidence for this, though one can only wonder. The Wicked Witch uses others enslaved by or controlled by fear or magic. Her guards cheer Dorothy after she accidentally kills the Wicked Witch. A flying monkey hobbles along on the ground like an animal rather than the monster it was before. Perhaps the message in that scene is that there are those who are reacting to the Great Depression who would be someone different were they under different circumstances. Maybe the message is that fear can turn some of us into people we would not be otherwise. Fear is a powerful emotion. Fear can cause us to do terrible things. The spirit of our times is one of fear. It turns otherwise ordinary people into agents of cruelty and repression. If you want to take power, control people, make them afraid. They will do whatever you say as long as you can convince them that you're the only one or ones who can hold back what they fear. People cannot reason effectively when they are afraid. Their emotions override their ability to perceive other opinions or options. And fear is not a rational thing. It originates in the part of the brain that is sometimes called the reptile brain. When fear is engaged, the frontal lobe, the rational thinking part of your mind, is overwhelmed and only thinks of sophisticated ways for fight or flight. Rational arguments do not work with people who are afraid, in part because their thinking processes have been programmed to react rather than reason. The reasoning part is not the one that's engaged. It's this part in the back of your brain, not in the center and in the back of your brain. This might explain the Wicked Witch's castle guards and the minds of people in our times. Maybe when fear is built up over a long time, people cannot know anything but fear, though I doubt that the creators of The Wizard of Oz, the movie, were that attuned to neuroscience. It does explain the quick change in the guards and the flying monkeys. Maybe that also explains what is happening in our own times. Fear, though, did not completely control all the characters. Dorothy's companions are given as evidence of symbols of factions of American society. Some believe that the scarecrow is presumed to be the agricultural sector, the farmers. And remember, in the past, the largest part of the American population worked on farms. Only after somewhere around the middle of the century did that shift happen, where agriculture was more successful and automation was better, so that more people could leave the farms, like my grandparent Smith did, and go to work in a city. The scarecrow symbolizes the farmers, the agricultural workers. They're supposed to not be very smart and are always disorganizing, falling apart, as the scarecrow's straw often seeps out and he has to stuff it back in, trying to bring himself back together. They are ineffective as the scarecrow cannot even frighten crows away. Yet Dorothy loves the scarecrow best. Maybe that tells us that the farmers are really good and kind people, like the scarecrow. In the backstory of The Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man represents industry. He was once human, like us, and had accidents, and parts of him were replaced with machinery until he was completely a machine. In the story, the Tin Man longs for a heart. He longs to be able to love. In the process of mechanization, he lost the ability, he believes, to love, to be compassionately human. When we examine industry and capitalism today, we can acknowledge that sometimes that side of our society lacks compassion, as it is created mostly for innovation and profit. Baum is not a pessimist, though. He believes that the Tin Man is capable of compassion, capable of finding a heart. And what of the lion? Of Dorothy's companions, the lion is the most powerful. Yet his cowardice prevents him from action in ways that could assert his strength and purpose. He knows that this is what he's supposed to do, who he is supposed to be. But he is afraid. When Dorothy slaps him, the lion breaks down and cries. He confesses he cannot count sleep to fall asleep because he is afraid of the sheep. In the context of The Wizard of Oz, the cowardly lion represents the American government. The lion has the ability to use his strength and power to defeat the wicked witch, but his resolve frequently weakens to his fear. Despite his power, the lion has to be pulled back by the Tin Man and Scarecrow to act. It was his care for Dorothy, though, that drew him into the conflict. She had given him hope, and for that, he loved her and risked acting bravely for her. These are the representations that I can perceive from the movie. The point that The Wizard of Oz makes for us is that for a nation to succeed and defeat the Great Depression, the agricultural and industrial sectors of this economy need to work together with the government. They respectively need to affirm their intelligence and cohesion, their compassion, and find the courage to govern effectively. They need to come together for a shared purpose rather than acting alone. We cannot envy the people of the 1930s America for their suffering and fear. We can, however, envy their sense of shared endeavor, their sense of we're all in this together. We can envy the tremendous leadership of Franklin Roosevelt, who said in his first inaugural address, "First of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. In every dark hour of our national life, a leadership of frankness and vigor, has met with that understanding and support of the people themselves, which is essential to victory. In our time, the pressures, personalities, and deceptions in American public life make us a people falling apart from one another, lacking compassion, and the people in power who make the government more like the wicked witch than the cowardly lion. The strength in this movie, The Wizard of Oz, for us in our times, is that it serves to remind, as a reminder of the flawed but united people that generation ago was against the darkness that loomed over the world. Yet it is true that in our time, prejudice, sexism, and homophobia were very real. However, the world they created after the Great Depression and the Second World War made possible society change, slowly but surely. Our challenge as Americans is to recognize the spirit of the Wizard of Oz and come together as a society when our leadership works to divide us. This journey is as much spiritual work as anything else. It means that we will have to find our shared ground and be grateful that we are a people from many places with many different identities and many different beliefs. We need to believe that someday, even if only in our dreams, that our troubles of our times will be far behind us. In closing, I would like to share the original words to the song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. These lyrics are not the ones that Judy Garland sang. There are some other lyrics that were missed. They are by Harlan Young and Harburg. When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place beyond the sun, just a step beyond the rain, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Bluebirds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Bluebirds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?